Let us pray. And now, God, may your word be proclaimed, either through me or in spite of me. In Jesus' name, amen. Comedian Flip Wilson told a story one time about a preacher. About a preacher and his church. The preacher was trying to get his people to be more enthusiastic about going to their church. And so the preacher said in his sermon, if this church is going to get anywhere, it has to learn to crawl. And people said, let it crawl, Rev, let it crawl. And then he said, after this church learns to crawl, it's going to have to learn to walk. And the people said, let it walk, Rev, let it walk. The preacher got even more excited. He said, after this, the church learns to walk, it's going to have to learn to run. And so the people said, let it run, Rev, let it run. And after this, the preacher's really excited now. And he says, and if this church is going to run, it's going to take money. And the people said, let it crawl, Rev, let it crawl. Now, there might be a little bit of truth in that story this morning. We like the idea of running. We like the idea of running as a church. We like the idea of making an impact. We love the idea of being a people of strong faith. And we find out that there's a cost that comes with it. We start finding how much we really do want to run. It's like exercise. You know, I like the idea of being in shape. I really do. I think that'd be a great thing. I like the idea of being ripped and buff and all of those things. But when I found out the cost that comes with it, I started thinking, well, you know, it's really not that bad being soft and cuddly, right? Today, as you know, we are beginning a new series called Taking the Next Step. This is a series about generosity. And by the way, if this is your first time with us, here to worship with us, or I want you to know I don't preach on this every week. We spend 3 to 4 Sundays usually per year talking about and encouraging financial generosity. And I want it to be fun. I've said that all along. So I'm trying to keep it that way. I want us to really focus on what this means. And I know that for people, the reason it's not fun, the reason we shy away from it is it's an uncomfortable subject. It's an uncomfortable subject because it's a subject that really hits us where we all live, which is being faithful to God in all areas of our life. And that includes our finances. Today in our passage of Scripture, the Apostle Paul points out the joy of giving, the positive side of generosity. He shares with the church in Corinth that there is joy that comes from giving, that there is joy in generosity. Now the question is this: is that actually true? Is that really true? The background of this story is interesting. The church in Corinth had made a promise. They had made a promise to give an offering to assist the Christians back in Israel. But the Corinthians had not followed through on their promise. Why? Well, my guess is that they are like many of us. It's a whole lot easier to talk a really big game than it is to actually perform in it. It is easy to make big promises, but when it comes time to fulfill those promises, it's easier to just kind of skip over them. So Paul, instead of beating the Corinthian church up for not following through on their giving, he chooses to try to inspire them. And I really believe this. that people are more motivated to give when they are inspired rather than when they are being, guilt-tripped into it. So how does Paul inspire the Corinthians? He shares how the church in Macedonia had given to this project. And he basically tells them that their motivation was love. Their motivation for giving was love. Real giving that carries with it power and influence, always begins with love. So to discover the joy of giving, I want us to look at a few examples of how love plays out in our giving. The first is this: love is demonstrated in our giving when we give in spite of circumstances. When we give in spite of our circumstances. Why does it take love to give? Because when it comes down to it, everything we do hinges on money. The house we live in, the car we drive, the clothes on our back, the food on our table, it all requires money, right? And when we take away from those things, it means less money. And we know that people are living with less money these days. I've read, on average, the average American carries a debt of about $225,000. And you can go up or down from that. It's house, cars, credit cards, all of those things. And if you watch the stock market really closely, you've probably thought, I'm going to have to work till I'm 200 to retire. So when it comes to giving, it's very easy to start making excuses as to why we can't give. But Paul points out a church in Macedonia that did not allow their circumstances to interfere with their giving. You might think, well, then their circumstances must not have really been that bad. If you look at verse 2, Paul says that they were in a severe ordeal of affliction. We're not specifically told what that affliction they were going through was, but more than likely it had something to do with persecution. They were being persecuted for their faith. And then Paul also says that the Macedonians were experiencing extreme poverty. The word here in Greek is a word that we use to describe a beggar. A beggar who has absolutely nothing, has no hope of getting anything. So that's the description he uses as extreme poverty. So that's the condition. That's the condition that the Macedonians were in. But here's what's incredible. They did not use their circumstances as an excuse to not give. How would that even be possible? Because God gave them the courage. God gave them the courage that in spite of their circumstances to step out in faith and give. And because of that, they experienced the joy of giving. So love is demonstrated by our giving when we give in spite of our circumstances. Second, love is demonstrated by our giving when we give with enthusiasm. The key section that I want you to look at here is in verse 4, where it says, they begged us. They begged us for the privilege of sharing in this ministry for the saints. The church in Macedonia, which from what we can tell was desperately poor, was begging. They were begging Paul to let them give to the church in Israel. Now, I'm surprised that Paul didn't just keel over right there. I can't think of too many times when I've had anyone begging me to let them give. How about you, Steve? Anybody ever beg you to let them know? cool is that, right? It's incredible. It's incredible that these people are so enthusiastic because they were in a hopeless situation. More than likely they've been shunned by their community because of their faith. And this shunning would have created dire financial straits for them. And yet they were still so eager, so enthusiastic, ready to give. And that's really what Jesus desires in a person's life. He takes us from wherever we are, and He gives us that hope. And when you're given hope, the one thing that you want to do is to share that hope. You want to spread it around. I look at this and I think, but they sure didn't have a whole lot to spread around. They couldn't have had. They were desperately poor, it says. It doesn't seem like their offering could have made that much of a difference. That's the thing. God's not really interested in the size of your gift, the size of your offering. God's interested in the heart that we give with. We're going to spend the next couple of weeks going deeper in our understanding of that. So keep that in the back of your mind. The most frustrating sport that I've ever played is golf. It really is. In so many ways, it is so counterintuitive. If you want the ball to go farther, the one thing they tell you is to not hold the club really tight or swing really hard. You want to grip it like they say. Too much grip pressure, they say, puts tension into your arms, it puts tension into your shoulders, and you swing incorrectly. A tight grip encourages you to swing with your arms and your shoulders instead of your big muscles in your lower body. And that dooms your swing from the beginning, they say. I think the same is true with giving. When we hang on too tight, it's hard for us to let go. And when we're not willing to let go, that saps the strength from our potential for giving. Macedonian church was able to be a great example of giving because even though they did not have very much, they were willing to let it go. Now, why were they so willing to release what they had? Because of love. Their giving, and ours as well, demonstrates what we love. Jesus said in Matthew 6:21, "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." No matter what we have, we always give to those things that we love the most. Let me ask you all a question. We're just a month or so now removed from Christmas. Who did you buy gifts for Christmas? Who did you buy gifts for? You bought them for the people you love, right? For the people that you care about. You didn't go out and buy gifts for people that you don't know or you don't know very well. You bought gifts for the people you're closest to. The people you love the most. And when you love God, you want to give to Him. Love is demonstrated when we give in spite of our circumstances. Love is demonstrated when we give with enthusiasm. And then third, love is demonstrated in our giving when we follow through. When we follow through. Paul's counsel in verse 11, if we read further in the passage this morning, is simply to finish. Finish what you have begun, he says. Paul's giving them advice on giving. He reminds them that giving must always come with a willing heart, but it cannot be coerced, it cannot be forced. Paul doesn't simply want them to give, he wants them to desire to give. Desire then primes the pump, he says, for giving. Paul encourages them to follow through and turn their desire to contribute into action. Finish the task as well, he says, that just as with the eagerness to desire it, so there may also be a completion, that you might finish what you are doing. The Corinthian church, the Corinthian Christians, had been the first. They were the first to agree to this giving project. But they had not followed through. Paul wanted them to know that desire was not enough. Willingness and desire, though, are never substitutes for doing. You know, we often, we're a month into the year now, we make noble and good resolutions, but we rarely follow through on them, do we? We all know the old proverb, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Paul's advice was to immediately put into action the desire that God had placed in their hearts. You know, sometimes our willingness to give needs to be encouraged. God desires to put our good intentions into concrete actions. So Paul encouraged the Corinthians to give according to their desire and according to their needs. God doesn't expect us to give what we don't have. They were expected to give according to their ability. You know, sometimes I think if I were just a millionaire, I would do this, I would do that, I would give to this, I would give to that. But here's the deal. God's not concerned with what I would do with $1 million. God is concerned with what I do with what I have. When we have given willingly according to what we have practiced faith. We have practiced love. And that's ultimately what God wants. I think that most people will talk about how much they want to give, how they desire to be supportive of the church. So let me this morning challenge you to do just that. What I believe that you will discover is that giving is worth it. It really is worth it. You'll discover that it's so powerful that it won't matter. It won't matter what the circumstances are. You'll discover that it's so powerful that you'll be enthusiastic about doing it. You'll discover that it's so powerful that you really will want to follow through. Ultimately, when we take the next step, we discover the joy of giving. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.